Hello, everybody. It is December 1st, 2025. This is the Commission of Human Relations, our monthly commission meeting, and I am calling this meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is adopting the meeting minutes. Is there anyone who would like to?
I will move to accept the meeting minutes.
Period. I'm not against that. I got that part. Any
Need a second.
okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. And our minutes have been accepted. Thank you, because now I can see it. I'm like, where am I at here? Okay. Next thing we have on the menu, or not the menu, sorry, is public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Sarah, you're the only one that I see and I don't recognize. Did you want to make public comment today? All right, that's totally fine.
That's nobody for public comment. Okay, we're gonna next on our agenda is committees. We have finance.
Not a whole lot to update anyone on with that. We had our budget hearing. It went smoothly. It was very sparsely attended because it was on a Friday, but it was still a good opportunity for us to get up there and talk about the commission's work and what we've been working on and the reasoning behind the budget request that we did make. So.
Thank you for that update. Next, we have personnel.
I don't think there's much to update on personnel right now either.
Community relations.
There's not a ton to update. I will say that we had a really rich conversation about maybe revamping some of the older things the commission did in communities and negotiating community tensions. So I think those conversations will keep rolling, and hopefully we'll start to build some connections there.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Next, we have director's report. And that is our wonderful ED, Rachel.
Rachel, before you start, I just want to give you a shout out because my husband got our newsletter and he was like, who does your newsletter? It's so good. So well done.
Glad somebody read it. Yes. that was the goal.
Well, at least one person did. Well, I read it too, so 2 people.
Sorry, I gotta shrink it just a little bit because I can't see it on my screen. All right. So, Commissioner Rosslow mentioned that there was a newsletter that went out. We are going to try to do monthly newsletters from now on. I figured if I'm putting together a director's report for you all monthly and we're talking about it openly during the meeting, there's no reason that we can't also put some of that information into a newsletter and send it out to our 600 plus subscribers. So did that this month. We'll see if there's any additional traction that comes from that. We did add a link in there as well for people to request presentations, et cetera. So hopefully we'll get some movement there. I already mentioned the departmental budget hearing at City Council. So myself and Chris, Courtney, and Rita attended that to talk to the City Council members. Councilperson Strasburger was there in addition to virtual Councilperson Charlin. So we got to talk a little bit about our outreach efforts and how he's seen us out in the public and how, they can tell that we're actively going out and trying to be more present with the community. So it's nice to be recognized. And again, we don't expect it to actually mean anything in terms of getting any additional funding for next year, understandably so. But we can continue to go and sit before council and make our case because it's not going to change anytime soon that we need additional hands. We did get our code updates passed. on November 10th. They were passed finally. This includes the updated definitions for protected class, protected activity, disparate impact. For anyone that remembers, disparate impact is no longer something that we can take cases for and dual file on the federal level with the EEOC or HUD. So we added that to our code explicitly so that we can continue to cover those kinds of cases. As few and far between as they are, we want to make sure that we can protect that. So we were able to get that done. And also the civil rights protections. We now have all of the protected statuses that we've taken on since 1996 when that portion of the code was last updated in that section of the code. So big win for us on just getting some things updated and more secure. I put that we adopted a new pro bono mediator. I don't know how he would feel about that terminology, but we had Doug Baker. He reached out to us through the conflict lab. Selena Schultz connected us. And so we were able to get him trained, and he is now on our pro bono mediator roster. So we're really expanding that list, opening it up to new attorneys so that they can get more experience with mediations. And so we can have a broader pool of mediators to pull from when we have things like the public hearing, where we have to offer 3 different mediators and there could be conflict of interest, et cetera. So really helpful that we have that extensive list. With cases and enforcement, so you can see not a whole lot of change in any one area. So we're down to 67 open investigations. We have 56 pending intakes, 13 cases that are awaiting a response and an assignment to an investigator for investigation, 6 pending mandatory conciliations. We've had a few that have been successful since that time, so that's good. There's no change with the number of cases in court currently, although we are on the road to settlements. So with our public hearing case from March, so I'll keep you all apprised of that. And then we do have an additional case now on the public hearing track because we had a mandatory conciliation that was not able to resolve the matter. So public hearing folks, please stay tuned. I need to get us together fairly quickly so that we can do a review, make sure everybody's on task for the public hearing that we actually have scheduled next week. And we'll get ourselves together with the commission solicitor, make sure everybody understands the process and can ask any questions before we actually get set up in this room on that day. Compliance review is going to see 7 determinations today, including 1 settlement. I will note that settlement is a long time coming because we had a hard time getting a hold of the respondent in that case. But thank you to everybody that continued to push on that, because we were able to finally get a hold of the respondent and they did take responsibility for the incident. So I'm happy about that one. So meetings and new connections. I met with Catherine Norton of Duquesne University. She is a coordinator for their law clinics in their legal department. So we're trying to explore the option of potentially restarting the housing clinic over at Duquesne. In addition, we'd like to try and involve the students that are in the law program over at Duquesne University in assisting some of our unrepresented complainants through the public hearing process, maybe through some of the conciliation process. We're finding that, once things get real with a case and they hit public hearing track, a complainant who's unrepresented is at a great disadvantage, and it's a very inequitable process at that point. So we're doing what we can. I mean, we can't make any direct referrals, but if we do have these law clinics that are willing to have folks come to them and they can work with some of our complainants, that might be beneficial to everybody. So really excited about that. We did have a update meeting with Human Rights City Alliance. So they're planning their annual press conference for International Human Rights Day for next week. I believe it is on Tuesday morning, but I haven't seen anything to confirm. I will let you know, though. I personally cannot be there this time, but I did want to, bring attention to it because they are continuing to move forward with the Universal Periodic Review and trying to encourage the U.S. to actually participate in that process over in Geneva. I was able to meet with both the regional director and the outreach coordinator from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. They were kind enough to invite me to their staff meeting to talk about our local protections so that I could actually speak directly to their investigators and their attorneys. So I was able to give information on domestic violence in particular, our new housing status protections, and some of the other things that we've been covering on the local level that they maybe weren't aware of. We're going to continue to collaborate. We've also been talking about doing a larger virtual joint housing training for landlords in Western Pennsylvania. So we're exploring that, probably looking at doing that in April for Fair Housing Month. I participated in the quarterly IORA Atlantic Regional meeting. So that's just the human rights agencies that fall into this Atlantic region. It wasn't very well attended, but the folks that were there, we did have some good discussion about things like case management, how we can get additional support from IORA to have consistent messaging and maybe support for the folks that are trying to drive some of these policy things home in their municipalities or their counties or their states. And we're trying to get more information sharing. So if there's some way to do some kind of a repository between the commissions across the country so we can share templates and different case processing materials so that nobody has to reinvent the wheel. Chris and I met with Anna from Judge Chelsea Wagner's office. We wanted to talk about our domestic violence protections explicitly, how we can get that information disseminated to attorneys that are maybe working in that space, to the people who may need the information as they come before the judge for a housing matter, et cetera. So we are working on that. And then in a similar vein, we have Amelia, our intern, coordinated with the legal clerks for Judge Nicolette Henry Taylor to discuss our work, facilitate the collaboration there. Again, we're trying to drive the interest in the upcoming legal community here in Pittsburgh in the civil rights realm and how keeping it relevant. We want them to know that it is still relevant. This is an avenue that they could take if they wanted to, and that we have information for them if they do want to do that. For education and outreach, end of October was the Domestic Violence Resources for Work and Home. That was continued legal education. I think we saw about 25 attorneys. It was myself, Brittany Mellinger from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, and Megan Hammond from the Fair Housing Partnership. So we were able to give information on the housing protections. They did have a separate session on the employment protections that we weren't actually a part of that one, but they were able to highlight the fact that the commission does have those protections here in the city of Pittsburgh. We did some tabling for the Open Doors Resource Fair hosted by Lindsay Powell. We're moving forward on some advertising and additional publicity through Huberg. I was interviewed by one of their writers on the protections that the commission offers for the LGBTQ plus community. We were able to highlight the fact that like HIV and AIDS status are included in disability protection, so that if the community is experiencing any trouble there, they can contact us and file under disability. They were very excited to talk to us, and that we are continuing to take cases on gender identity and expression regardless of what's happening at the federal level. Rita and Ray from FHP did fair housing presentation for students at the University of Pittsburgh, and we've been invited back annually to do this for their students, which is great. We'd love to have those repeat folks to come and talk to the students. Again, we want to get the students involved because, hey, they could take a professional route that involves these housing protections, or, just so they know what their own rights are as they move into a space where they're renting or purchasing, honestly. Likewise, Amelia did a fair housing training for Carlos School of Social Work, their students. So we are trying to expand into other universities and colleges in the Pittsburgh area. I also am working on getting on the schedule for CCAC at the Allegheny campus, so that we can talk to some of their folks in their ethnic studies and diversity section. The big event for this month was the Thanksgiving distribution hosted by the Urban League. This is an annual Thanksgiving distribution. I think I've been there every year since I started with the commission, and this is the year that it was the slowest. And that is disappointing in a way, but we were still able to distribute most of the materials that we had with us. I did have to come back to the office to get some of our little foldable handouts because I underestimated how many adults I'd be encountering that day. But we did purchase 1,000 beanies, like beanie caps for winter wear for people to hand out during that event, in addition to our regular commission informational materials. And so we were able to give those, and it's a hit every year. So I'm really glad that we were able to keep some people warm this winter. And let's see, I was finally able to actually complete the Know Your Rights presentation for the staff at Hume Lane Wellness Center. First time I had accidentally gone to the wrong location, as she was in the wrong location the last time when she did presentation for our office. That's like I said, it's only fair. But they took a lot of notes. They feel pretty good about the fact that they have this new resource that they can refer people to, and they have a bit more information on what it is that we actually do, so that they can, really direct people in a way that's going to be meaningful for them to get some kind of resolution. Okay, I mentioned that the public hearing is still being held next week. So we're looking at December 10th at 10 a.m. It is open to the public. It will be here in this room where we are right now. It's 902 City County Building. It's open to anyone. We do tell people, like, you can't photograph or video or audio record when you're in the hearing room. But it should be probably a one-day hearing. Anyone who's interested in participating or just watching to see how this kind of thing goes, please stop by. And then next week on Friday, we're going to have our last Fair Housing for Landlords training of the year. So Megan from FHP is going to be in town, and we have actually multiple fair landlord trainings scheduled for next week, but this one is the one that's just open to everybody. So 1 to 4 on Friday at the Cohatch and South Side. And if you know anybody that's interested, please have them register. The link is here in the director's report. Any questions from anyone? Back to you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much for all that wonderful information. It's great to hear that everything that you're doing is just working out and falling into place. We are, let's see, next on our agenda is old business. We have old business?
Yes, this is the calendar that we presented last month as new business. Gave folks a little bit of time. I did correct it so that the meeting in August is actually on the correct date. It was originally, unfortunately, I left it on the 3rd. So this is the corrected calendar. We just need a vote to drive this forward so we can post it, make it public, and let everybody know that this is our standard meeting schedule for 2026.
Okay, so would somebody like to motion for the first vote of the calendar?
Yeah, I
So
motion to
moved.
accept. Oh yeah, I'll second.
I second.
Yeah, I think we know how this is gonna go.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Looks like we have a new calendar for next year with our dates.
Yes, we do.
And we have, let's see, what is next on this menu? Let's see. I keep calling the menu. New business we already did. I guess we can actually adjourn the meeting.
Oh, actually, I have one item before we do this. I wanted to take a moment to recognize Paul O'Hanlon's passing. He was a disability advocate in the city of Pittsburgh. And I'm sure T, you were familiar with him as well, as he was the founder of Pittsburgh for Public Transit. He served our city well, and I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge all of his human rights work and the loss that we as a city will be experiencing in his absence.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, he will be truly missed. Thank you, Geneva, for saying that. Because yes, I was just talking to Gabby about that. So he will be greatly missed. He was an amazing person. And I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday for who celebrates and who don't celebrate. I hope everybody enjoyed these days off and enjoyed their family and just rested. Because I did. I rested.
Right.
I guess if we have nothing else, I will, if someone would like to motion to adjourn the meeting,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.